So that moves on now to the officer's career hierarchy and ranks that we have on board. So captain at the moment is Captain Marco Fortesi. He has over 20 years experience as a captain, which is pretty amazing, very good. And yeah, full of experience, full of knowledge, and he is the guy that is running the show for the Ruby Princess. And then underneath him, you have his bridge team. We have Staff Captain Antonio Festa, Safety Officer Pasquale Maresca from Italy, our First Officer who is in charge of the voyage planning, making sure we are all ready to go from A to B, is Denis Chernikov. He is from Latvia. Senior Second Officer is Piero from Italy. You got myself, I'm from Edinburgh in Scotland. Marcus is Lithuanian Third Officer. Christian, Vito, Barbara, all Third Officers. And then Niall, you already met. And Luke also is our Deck Cadet from Trinidad. So how do we get to where we are at the moment? So basically, each Deck Officer will do a cadetship. For UK cadets is a 3-year program mixed between 1 year working at sea and other 2 years at college or university, normally doing a foundation degree, so a university level degree completed within 2 years, and then you've got your sea-based learning on top of that as well. Once we pass our exams and we get our Officer of the Watch license, the company then sends us to the Sea Smart Maritime Training Centre, which is our own Carnival Corporation Training Centre. It's based in Amsterdam in Holland, and we go there. That's a picture of our hotel on the right, and that's our simulator training centre on the left there, the smaller building, each with a state-of-the-art simulators, which you can see now. So yeah, the simulators, they completely replicate the bridges that we have on board, more or less. All the same equipment, all the same radios, and the ship characteristics are programmed into these massive computers, so is as realistic as possible. And this is where we go to learn about our BR, what we call BRM procedures, so bridge resource management, and yeah, more company-specific training before finally becoming officers on board one of the Princess cruise ships. We attend the Sea Smart once every year to do either a refresh of a course we've already done, or to do a new course which we have not done before. And yeah, more pictures of our Sea Smart simulators. Looks like an engine control room simulator, because engineers, the electrotechnical department, they also go there, and also our environmental officers go once per year for training in Amsterdam as well. So what do you do on the bridge exactly? It's written, well, we do not only drive the ship, but there's also numerous other things that we want to take care of. One of the biggest concerns is going to be stability. So we already talked about freshwater consumption, we already talked about the fuel consumption. So yeah, all that stuff is affecting the stability all the time. Wind and sea is also going to affect us. Yesterday we had quite strong winds on the port side, so you maybe felt the ship a little bit listing over to one side. So what we want to do in that situation is we're going to try and counteract that somehow. So either using healing tanks or taking on treated ballast water to try and balance the ship out. So that's what we're trying to do all the time, trying to keep the ship as upright and as steady and as comfortable as possible. Yeah, moving on. So you got the bridge during the day. There's our setup there. So you see the chair on the far right hand side, that's going to be the co-nav position. And then the next chair, let's say the middle red chair, is where the navigator sits. So whoever is conning the ship is going to be sitting in this position. Normally at sea, we'll have only a navigator and co-nav. Because the workload is not too much, co-nav can take care of external communications and internal communications. Any phone calls, any VHF radio calls, any alarms, he can take care of, and the navigator can control where the ship is going. Also, normal sea day, we'll have 2 AB helmsmen on the bridge, or quartermasters, they're sometimes called. They'll be either ready, standing by in case we have to engage the hand steering, switch out of the autopilot, or they'll be used as lookouts. So on a sea passage, obviously looking out for any targets that we can't see on radar. So small boats, especially if we're close to land, small wooden fishing boats which aren't really visible on radars, they're keeping a lookout for those. Any fishing marks, any buoys, any whales, any marine mammals, they're going to report to us as well, and obviously we're going to try and keep well clear of those. The final chair, the red chair that's closest to this side, that's the pilot's chair. So when we are under pilotage, the pilot will come on board and he will sit here. And the final chair is this one on the podium at the back, which is reserved for what we call the operations director. So if we increase our manning level on the bridge, we'll take an operations director. An operations director has a full overview of everything that's going on. He's nice and raised up there. You can see what the navigator is doing with the controls. You can see what the helmsman is doing with the steering wheel if we're in hand steering. And you can see what the co-nav and pilot are doing from up there also. And we'll see now the bridge at night. This is how the bridge looks at night. Basically, it's like same way you're driving your car. You want it to be as dark as possible, so we can obviously see out the windows. If we have any lights on, the lights reflect it back, and we can't see anything. Our bridge wind controls. So they're like Niall said earlier. We talked a little bit about the bridge wings. So there we are. We use these for coming alongside to the final part of the manoeuvres, and also we'll use for tender ports. If we have lifeboat operations going on, we can do the tender control from up here. We can see perfectly right the way down the side of the ship. And yeah, here we have the controls here also. So you see on this side here, our little steering wheels. So once we're on the bridge wing, it's these little steering wheels that we're using to control the rudders. We have the autopilot system there as well. We can engage the autopilot from the bridge wing if we need. We have our engine telegraph controls. Basically, all the controls we have in the center of the ship are replicated, but a little bit smaller on each bridge wing. Okay, so driving the ship, normal sea day, we have what we call an integrated navigation system. So autopilot system, when the weather is good and there's no traffic around, we can use 3 different modes of operation. Heading mode is following this set heading that is input by us, the navigators, and yeah, it's going to follow that heading. However, if we have wind and current, the ship is going to continue on that heading, and the wind and current is going to blow us off course. So if you have strong wind and current, then you can go into course mode, and you can set the course that you want the system to follow. So on course mode, what's happening is taking into account the wind and current, and the autopilot is going to automatically change the heading in order to maintain that course over the ground. And then finally, the most sophisticated method, let's say, is the track mode. So our voyage planning officer and captain, once they've checked the passage plans, we go full away on passage, we can engage what's called a track mode. And we have this red line which we follow all the way to our next port, and on track mode the system is going to recognize that red line and follow it all the way until we either disengage and go into hand steering, or until we arrive pretty much. But yeah, track mode will only be used for sea passages, heading mode will be used for, let's say, coastal waters, and then finally for the manoeuvring, the final part of getting the ship alongside, we will use hand steering with our helmsman on the wheels. And there's a picture of our steering wheels on the wings. So we can control one. You see this one is the master where the finger is on the right hand side. This is the master. It can control both in synchronized mode, or we can go independent and we can move the rudders independent of each other. Yeah. And then when we're in heading mode or course mode is this little knob here, which we are using to drive the ship. So that's what the guys upstairs, they're using this just now. And yeah, controlling 290 meters of ship with this little knob here. You see there you have port and starboards, just in case we forget. And also the radius. So for turning the ship, we use a radius of the turns to calculate our rate of turn. So we can increase the radius. It's going to be a more slower, more comfortable turn. If we have any traffic or anything that's jumping up, surprising us, fishing gear or whales or something like that, we can always decrease the radius and turn it a little bit faster just by pulling that knob down towards us. And then you see there the green light on the heading mode. So they are using the heading mode, and you've got the course and track mode buttons there, which we already talked about. Safety centre and chart room. So another part of the bridge is our emergency response. All the alarms for the fire detection system, all the alarms for any flooding, anything, overboard valves, we have all on the bridge and in our safety centre. So very important, the chart room used to be the chart room, now is an emergency response centre. You see here we have our, what we call a SMCS, Safety Management and Control System, is this big screen in the middle. The two screens to the left of that are for the stability of the ship. Another, what we call a chart pilot on the top right there, which is turned off in this picture, but it normally shows the position of the ship, so that when the captain is here doing any control for emergency response, you can also have one eye on what is going on with the ship, navigational wise as well. That's where the captain does his announcement from, up here on the right. So when you guys were welcomed on board in Vancouver, you heard the captain do his welcome on board announcements. You heard the GEA alarm as well for the training purposes. That was all controlled by us up in the safety centre. Again, we have our ocean safety assembly, so everything electronic now. You'll have your ocean medallions, and basically whenever you check in to your muster station, so the day you arrive, you went round, you watched a video, you checked in your safety centre, and you did all that stuff. We could actually see up on the bridge who checked in and who was remaining, and we have to reach certain percentages before we can actually sail the ship. So we always try and get 100%, but yeah, normally we're pretty good here, normally 95, 96% by the time we sail. Everyone, of course, we want you to be as safe as possible and learn as much as possible about your own safety as well whilst on board. And then this is our, let's say, modern chart room. So you have the first officer there, he's on his computer. You can see he has an electronic chart next to him as well. You got the senior second officer with the double screens there. And then what we do before we have any departures or arrivals, we do a team briefing. We have two big screen TVs, and we'll put the chart onto there, and we'll discuss the plan for the arrival or the departure as a team. Basically making sure everyone's on the same page and we all know what is expected for the manoeuvre. And then finally, we're going to move on to the most important piece of equipment on the bridge. The first question any deck officer asks when they come on board, and it is, where is the coffee machine? So there she is, she's in our bridge pantry. The quartermasters, who we mentioned before, on some of the ships, they are barista trained as well, so we have plenty coffee on demand all the time. And that brings it to the end.